Yes, currently Indonesia is still. I mean, well, there are a lot of problems in Indonesia across about religion and other tensions. If we can select one of the, if we can select the goals as the 7 goals, you will know which one is the most important ones. Um, as for those your friends who are not able to come here, you can witness this by live streaming. Please check Twitter UNDP Indonesia and Rappler Indonesia, where you can find two bilingual live streams in English and in Indonesia. Okay. Now, and before we start, let me introduce the Indonesian Rappler team, and there are 2 persons who are going to give presentations. And I would like to invite Natasha Gutierrez and Jody. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Good morning. Coordinating Minister for Political Affairs and for Political and Security Affairs, Mr. Excellency Luhut Panjaitan and entourage. Good morning. We too from Rappler Indonesia will gladly welcome you. Thank you for coming on time. And today we are going to introduce 17 global goals, and hopefully we all could participate in selecting or in choosing and the 17 goals. My position is I'm a Chief Operation Executive Officer, dan saya juga adalah untuk Rappler Indonesia Team. Dan pertama-tama saya akan berbicara tentang Rappler Indonesia. Jadi Rappler Indonesia sebetulnya adalah suatu social news network yang pertama kali. Artinya kita menggunakan sosial media sebagai platform untuk menyampaikan berita-berita yang bersifat breaking news, tapi kita tidak hanya sekedar menyampaikan berita, tapi kita juga membuat tampil beda. Karena itu kita mengintegrasikan Twitter dan Instagram untuk bercakap-cakap dengan audiensi di Indonesia, dan motivasi yang ada untuk, dan pada hari ini sasaran kita ada 17 sasaran global. Kita adalah bagian dari gerakan global yang dimana Anda juga melakukannya secara individual untuk mencapai atau mewujudkan sasaran ini, khususnya untuk Indonesia. Minggu lalu kami berbicara dengan tim dari Rappler Indonesia, dan sebagaimana kita diskusikan adalah untuk menghasilkan konten yang melibatkan audiens dari Indonesia dan memotivasi audiens untuk membuat perubahan. Dan pada saat ini kita ingin memperkenalkan tim saya yang luar biasa, yaitu Margaret Dodi Febriano sebagai wartawan atau reporter, dan editor juga ada di luar yang juga sedang meliput tragedi Mina yang masih berlangsung, dan kemudian ada juga personel lain yang bekerja di belakang layar. Apakah Anda semua sudah siap? Baiklah, kalau demikian saya juga ingin kita mengambil salah satu hal yang paling relevan di sini. Pilihan saya adalah kesetaraan gender. Saya percaya bahwa perempuan harusnya memiliki kesempatan atau peluang kesehatan dan pendidikan yang sama dengan laki-laki, dan itulah yang telah saya tulis di masa lalu sebagai seorang reporter, dan saya ingin lanjutkan hal ini dalam pekerjaan saya dan juga dalam karir saya. Dan mungkin Anda bisa berbagi the goal that I think important is goal number 4, that is quality education. I'm a parent, and I want I see where my children are exposed to internet and exposed to TV. So as a parent working away from home, I'm thinking of how to strike a good balance in terms of education and I choose one of the goals that you think is important for you, and you can tweet that to 2003 and 2000 saya, and use hashtag 23 saya, dan juga hashtag 2003 saya. Jadi mari kita mulai, karena pada hari ini ada pembicara-pembicara yang luar biasa, supaya beberapa dari antaranya kita bisa mulai sekarang. Oke, baik, terima kasih. Terima kasih.
Really quickly, actually,
Dan sebelum kita mulai, kita menunjukkan kepada Anda beberapa video. Yang pertama adalah video yang presentasi dari Chief Administrator PBB, yaitu Helen Clark, dan setelah itu kemudian ada PBB yang menekankan peran Anda. Terima kasih.
Hai kepada semua country office di seluruh dunia yang membantu dengan Social Good Summit, terima kasih banyak karena menciptakan sebuah platform untuknya di atas country office dan menggunakannya untuk merayakan peluncuran Sustainable Development Goals atau tujuan pembangunan berkelanjutan. Jangan lupa untuk tweet, gunakan hashtag 2030now, dan kami ingin mendengar tentang bagaimana Social Good Summit Anda di tingkat lokal. Hai kepada semua country office di seluruh dunia yang membantu dengan Social Good Summit, terima kasih banyak karena menciptakan sebuah platform untuknya di country office dan untuk menggunakannya untuk merayakan peluncuran tujuan pembangunan berkelanjutan atau SDG. Jangan lupa untuk men-tweet, gunakan hashtag 2030now, dan kami ingin mendengar dan melihat bagaimana penyelenggaraan Social Good Summit Anda di tingkat lokal.
That was a video, a presentation by Helen Clark. And now we will be listening to a speech by Coordinating Minister for Political and Security Affairs, Mr. His Excellency Mr. Luhut Panjaitan. Please, the floor is yours, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Selamat pagi. Saya merasa terhormat bisa berada di sini untuk bertemu dengan anak-anak muda dan orang-orang muda. I'm very happy to be here to meet all of you. My name is Luhut Panjaitan. My background is I was a soldier. I graduated from a military academy in 1970, and I have been working for 22 years at Kopassus, Army Special Forces, and I have been educated in all the best armed forces all over the world. I have been to the US and also to SAS in English and also in Germany. So I'm a seasoned soldier. I have been assigned to different military. I have had many different military assignments, and I witnessed how my fellow soldiers passed away during battles. And I also attended using Washington University in the United States, and I also attended Defense University at Pentagon, and I have been ambassador to Indonesian ambassador to Singapore, and I was a Minister of Industry and Trade, and today I am Chief of Staff of the Presidential Office, and now I am a Coordinating Minister for Law, Legal, Politics and Security Affairs. And I would like to talk to you all about the future of Indonesia, with my many experiences, that I see that Indonesia has a very great future. And indeed, currently our economy is not very good because of the exchange rate of the rupiah to the dollar, but actually Indonesian economy is still quite good. Some weeks ago I was invited to New York, and I spoke at some venues, Blackstone, and at some companies, including Morgan Stanley. I had discussion with them about the prospect of Indonesian economy, and from the conclusion that and then I was also invited to American Institute seminar where I serve as a panelist in Singapore, and all the questions appreciated measures the government taken to improve our economy. Indeed, there are problems with regard to the perception of rupiah depreciation, and the rupiah depreciation does not seem very good, about 15%. But overall speaking, if we compare the rupiah to the current currencies of other Asian countries, we are still among the best. But if we take a look at the economic development in general, hi Maria Reza. So Maria Reza is my old friend. Kita sudah bersahabat mungkin sejak 1990-an, bahkan mungkin lebih sebelum itu. One day I helped Maria Reza evacuate from Delhi back in 1908. During the reform, so I evacuated Maria Reza. So Maria Reza is a very old friend of mine, sahabat lama dari saya. I'm very happy to meet her. Saya kira dia di sini. So young person, I also came. I came with my youngest child, Carrie. He's a historian. He does Scotland, and then he continued her study at Sydney University, because I also would like to know what really happened in Indonesia right now. And to those of you who are still very young, well, Indonesia has a very great future, and they made the principle that Indonesia will become one of the top 5 in the world in terms of economy, and I believe that this is very possible because we have everything. Now, what is happening in our government is we are making decisions which are very strategic, in which I'm also involved in such decision making. I told you that I have taken my master degree in strategy at Pentagon, and I also learn about. I also studied economy, and I have also had economic practices. So I have good in-depth insights on economy and security. And actually, we are transforming this republic from community-based
ini sangat penting. Artinya apa? Kita bicara nilai tambah. Kita tidak bicara sekedar mengekspor raw material yang berpuluh tahun atau belas tahun itu kita lakukan. Sekarang tidak. Kita membuat nilai tambah. Nilai tambah itu sekarang menurut hemat saya itu sangat bagus, sehingga kita bisa akan melihat hasil lebih bagus ke depan. Tapi itu takes time, tidak bisa langsung sekarang. Mungkin 1,5 tahun, 2 tahun lagi baru kita lihat buahnya. Dari mana uang kita membuat? Itulah keberanian kita membuat keputusan mengambil subsidi. Subsidi itu kita potong.
We have to take subsidy, and we cut the subsidies by about $21 billion a year. Well, it depends on the exchange rate of the rupiah, and we allocate the money for infrastructure, health, and other sectors. So we see this is the first time in the history of Indonesia that the country's infrastructure budget amounts to almost $21 billion a year, and we are building infrastructure right now from Karanganyar,
Banten sana, Banjarnegara,
from Banjarnegara in Banten all the way to East Java, that would be accomplished in 2000.
Artinya apa? Transport cost kita akan lebih murah.
Meaning that our transport costs would be cheaper, and that would make our economy better. And this is your future. My era, I'm 60 is fading away. I'm 68 years old. I'm not going to see that this is part of my achievement. But this is your part. You have to make that achievement, but you have to be very careful, because in December the Asian economic community will arrive. This is something that we cannot avoid. We have to commit, and we have to comply with that. And so that means that this goes down to our quality of our education, and also our products have to be competitive. And there's also demographic bonus, and we do not improve the quality of our education, that would be a backfire for us. So that's why you are important. That's why, in our opinion, you have to be able to become a manufacturing-based country, meaning that you have to have technology. Now, the problem is that
pendidikan berbasis teknologi itu hanya banyak di Jawa. Di luar Jawa kurang. Nah, itu kewajiban kita semua. Sekarang kami dorong supaya bidang-bidang teknologi IT, bidang engineering, bidang masalah pembangunan itu harus ada yang berkualitas di luar Jawa. Pada umumnya semua di Jawa. Jadi pemerataan itu penting. Itu sebabnya kalau Anda lihat slogan daripada sekarang pemerintah ini adalah tadi growth dan equality. Jadi tidak hanya bicara pertumbuhan, tapi kita juga bicara pemerataan. Karena pemerataan itu kalau tidak ada, itu akan membuat instabilitas. Apa yang instabilitas tadi? Karena ketidakpuasan. Apa yang disebut kalau bahasa Inggrisnya civil disobedience, pembangkangan sipil. Nah, pembangkangan sipil terjadi karena
civil obedience, and because they are not satisfied. For example, land possession. We have 30%
sekarang pemerintah fokus
of the
kita mau
economic
bangun
pie
sekarang
allocated
jalan
to
perbatasan
peoples,
Kalimantan Utara,
and we want to build a toll road along the north Kalimantan border. We want to have oil palm plantations there, but the ownership shall not be dominated by Indonesian business, prominent business Indonesian business persons. They have also to share the economic pie to the local people as well. Now, talking about security, well, there are a lot of problems such as ISIS and then drugs. Drugs is our biggest enemy. Some time ago in East Java, I met with 18 Muslim clerks, prominent 18 Muslim clerks. We talked for 2 days, and I was surprised that drugs have penetrated Islamic boarding schools, and we have to face this challenge together. And that's why the government, together with religious leaders, sat down to find the right program to address the situation. And I was surprised that the Islamic clerics were very sharp, and so the Foreign Minister have already told about the danger. Now they're asking, what is your action plan? Who shall be doing what? So the quality of our Islamic boarding schools are great, but we have to make them resilient. We must see to it that the resilience is not destroyed. When it comes to ISIS, I think this is quite interesting because it also points to stability and stability challenge which we need to address. And in the Middle East, the stability on the YouTube, and we do not want that to happen in this country. Our country is a big country with 250 million people, and we have to maintain the stability. Our country's stability. Our funding, as funded by our founding fathers. So you. Because it turns out when people got drugged, when your opinion as mining business persons, especially in the mining sector, and how this business could contribute to the local community or the surrounding community. My name is Ahmad. Well, may I answer this question to Brother Ahmad from the University of Indonesia? I'm happy to listen to your inputs. Mining is important, and we have to focus domestically. In the past, we exported our mining ores, our raw materials, but now we've prohibited that because, as you said, we want sustainability. That, for example, the generation of 35,000 watt electricity. Why we have to export it? We have to use it domestically. So first, our domestic needs shall be prioritized, and later on exporting it if it is really necessary. But as you see, we want added value. We do not want to export raw materials so that our grandchildren could enjoy the fruit of the labor. And then you said about Marcella issues. Marcella is one of our biggest gas potential on the in the Arafura Sea. Their plan is to export the gas. I said no. Our gas compared to Iran and Saudi Arabia, our gas production is still very small. So please use the gas for domestic energy consumption or sources. Now about ownership, we do not want to marginalize local people. The local people also need to enjoy, to get a part of development pie, like oil palms, cocoa plantations. The local people also needs to get, a part of the development pie for the sake of fairness. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Good morning. Sir, I'm Randan from the University of Professor Dr. Mustafa, and I'm majoring in international relations. I would like to ask you about the infrastructure development. I really appreciate the government of Jokowi JK to build infrastructure on a large scale from Sabang to Merauke, because I know that on the World Economic Forum, Indonesia is in the 77th rank. I mean, Indonesia belongs to one of the worst countries in the world in terms of infrastructure. Now, we will be able to enjoy good infrastructure after 5 or 10 years, meaning that this is for the long term. Now, for the short term, has the government has a concrete program to make 250 million Indonesian people prosperous, because I have heard quite a lot that many people are shouting, many people are complaining of because the rice prices are very expensive, and because prices are going up. Thank you. Now, when it comes to infrastructure, this is a big thing. We do not have to wait for 5 days. For 5 years. We have to wait, and maybe 2 or 3 years we could see the results, because of and this relates to the cost of our transport. You can check the Google's 14.7%, if I'm not mistaken. This is the cost of transportation. But in Japan, 4.9%, if I'm not mistaken. Our target is in 5 years to come that we have to be in the middle, that is 7.5%, and that the transportation growth would give great impacts to our economy, and that would also affect the prices. In Asian countries, our prices, especially food prices, are among the most expensive because of the transport costs. Because transport costs highly influence or affect the prices. Now, you are talking about what program the government has in order to control the prices. As I have said earlier, we are going to issue a package, but the immediate thing is about tech amnesty, meaning forgetting the past and we shall look forward. We will complete our data. We expect to get more taxpayers. Currently, we have about 931,000 taxpayers. There are 27 million who has taxpayer identity numbers. Now, can we increase the taxpayers in 2 or 3 years, so that our income, so that the state revenues from taxes could increase? Now we have 200 and something trillion rupiah in tax revenues, and and that would also affect food price. Making effort, and next year 43 each village will get more or less 900 million Indonesian rupiah to revive the local economy, and that would reduce the prices, and we will also give cheap credits. The cheap credits for small and medium enterprises will be reduced to 12% and next year to 9%, so that small and medium enterprises could work, could could be going on. So far, people buy money from loan sharks and they have to pay 30 to 40%, but now no more. Only a quarter of that. So we continue to make such measures. And lastly, the government provides 9 basic necessities so that they are available and they are and the prices are affordable. And we have rice there, so that rice will always be on the market, because if rice is not available on the market, things would be chaotic. And the same is also true for beef, eggs, and also corns, because we are still importing corns. And the president want to establish a corn body. Because we are still importing corns, millions of tons of corns every year. But ladies and gentlemen, indeed, we need to be patient, and we have been through difficult times. And some time ago, commodity prices were very good, but we did not value. We are now trying to add value, and this is a difficult choice. And within 1.5 years, if we could manage this, I believe that we will be through the difficult times or the hard times. One more thing. Well, okay. One more question. Just one question, because after this we'll enter into the next session. Well, thank you, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Stella Leonardo from the International Relations faculty. University. I just want to share with you. Some time ago, I got the opportunity to join Expedition Nusantara Jaya. It is a program of the Maritime Ministry. So I went to the eastern part of Indonesia, and I got friends from Sonoaki. Maybe this is something that you have not heard. I also have friends and colleagues in Papua. We are in touch with each other through SMS, because the signals, the handphone signals are on and off, are intermittent. But now, because if you live in cities and if you have no internet connection in just one day, you will be confused. You have difficult times. But what about those in outer islands with no internet connection? And I would like to ask you whether the government has a concept, in terms of IT, how to enable the outer islands to get signals, handphone signals, or internet connections, or phone connections. And I would like to ask the government to pay attention to the smallest issue. Well, hackathon, maybe you have read that hackathon is the brother of Ainun. I would like, I asked hackathon to make a good software system, because 5 has already been approved. It will be implemented in trade sector and also in the logistics sector. Hackathon is made in Indonesia. Why we have to buy software from foreign countries? We can develop our own software, and the government and president has received them from Ainun. There are 400 participants all over Indonesia, and they are making apps or software to monitor the field, so that we can monitor the prices. And we are concerned about equality is indeed right, The president will Valley, and we want to visit Apple. Apple created the so-called Loon. Loon is about 22 kilometers above, and that would cover remote areas. Would cover internet connection in remote areas, and we will try this out. Papua connection is not very good. That would be covered by that, including West Nusa Tenggara and East Nusa Tenggara. And if this internet coverage could be had, then we could have better communication and also better education. One of the loan programs are made by young people, including Indonesian young people. About 60 young people from Indonesia were there when I visited Silicon Valley, and when President Jokowi visited Silicon Valley, demonstration will be held, and we will make a model, and if the model is successful, we will develop or expand this program. The president is very open to the minds of young people, and he also would like to have young minds to develop this republic. We really understand the difficulties you are facing, and we are trying to identify the issues and addressing each of them. But again, this is not an overnight solution. But this is very fundamental, but I believe that in 1 or 2 years' time, we will see the results. As for prices, we are trying to maintain the prices using our strategy so that our people shall not be in hunger, shall not suffer from hunger. Thank you. Please give a big hand to Mr. Luhut. There is a lot of questions. Thank you, Mr. Luhut.
Dan tidak afdol rasanya kalau kita tidak mendengar sambutan dari
Now let us hear the remarks of Mr. Christoph Bahet, who is the country director of UNDP Indonesia.
Beliau ini akan berbicara tentang masa depan di tangan Anda.
The future in your hand. Good morning, Your Excellency, Mr. Luhut bin Sarpanjaitan. Greetings to all of us, to distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and to colleagues. Welcome to UNDP Indonesia. We gather here to speak about this and this. Why?
Saya telah tempuh cuma 2 contoh karena akses air minum yang bersih
Two examples, because access to clean water and development of innovation industry and telecommunication is part of the 17 goals of Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG. In fact, you already know what is SDG.
Global goals baru dunia
New global
yang
goals,
akan
which
mengakomodir jalan
will
hidup kita selama
influence our
15
life
tahun ke
in the
depan.
next 15 years.
Hanya 3 hari yang lalu,
Only 3 years ago, in the headquarters of the United Nations in New York,
193 kepala negara,
93 head of
wakil
states,
kepala negara atau perdana menteri
representatives
dari seluruh
and prime
dunia
ministers from throughout the world
setuju untuk
agreed
menentukan
to launch
SDG.
SDGs.
SDG menggantikan MDG
replace MDGs,
yang terkenal sekali sebagai sebuah kampanye pengurangan
which is known as the
kemiskinan dunia
Poverty
yang diteruskan
Eradication
tahun
Campaign,
2000
which
sampai
was
tahun ini.
launched in the year
Banyak yang
2000.
memuji keberhasilan
Many
MDG,
have applauded the
namun
success of
kita juga
MDG,
tahu
but we also know
masih banyak
there are many
pekerjaan rumah yang
many
harus
homework
kita
that we
hadapi.
have to face.
Oleh karena itu,
Therefore,
tujuan pembangunan berkelanjutan baru ini memiliki cakupan yang lebih luas
have a broader
dan
scope
bertujuan untuk
and
menyelesaikan
seeks to
apa yang MDG
complete
tidak berhasil
what has
capai.
not been completed by MDGs.
Misalnya,
For example,
SDG fokus
SDGs
pada
focus
pengelolaan
on
kemiskinan dan juga
poverty eradication
pengelolaan
and
ketimpangan ekonomi di
also
negara sangat
reduction
tertinggal
of disparity
dan juga di negara maju
in
dan di
disadvantaged
negara ekonomi
countries and
menengah
developed
seperti
countries
Indonesia.
and middle income countries like
SDG
Indonesia.
berupaya menjamin
SDGs seek to
tersediaannya
ensure
pendidikan yang
availability
layak
of
bagi
decent
anak-anak yang
education
kurang
for
beruntung.
children, for disadvantaged children, and SDGs also guarantee that all families have access to clean water and sanitation, which automatically can cease the spread of diseases due to contaminated water. Do we want Jakarta city to be free from traffic and pollution? Yes, certainly. And SDG also announced a city with an adequate infrastructure. But SDG is not a dream. SDGs can become reality if all of us have the commitment to perform concrete measures. Indonesia is involved directly in the establishments of SDGs. UNDP, or United Nations Development Program, is active in this process. We have worked in development sector for more than 50 years. In Indonesia itself, we have become development partner to address poverty issues, strengthen democracy, and protect our planet. Ladies and gentlemen and colleagues, the success of SDG depends on all of us. What we want is a world that is more equitable, with a better equity. We sure want, in another 15 years, a world whereby all children, school-age children, can have decent education, and also we want another 15 years to grow a technology that can facilitate communication and development, especially for the poor. The Social Good Summit is a concrete measure to announce the target of SDGs. We hope that colleagues can become spokesperson for SDGs, and more importantly, we hope that all of you can be inspired to take concrete actions in supporting the success of SDGs. The SDGs will officially apply starting January 2016. Let us ensure the success of SDG. Quoting the first president, 1,000 people can only dream. One youth can change the world. That's all from me. I apologize for any shortcomings. I hope this discussion will run smoothly, and thank you and good morning. Thank you, Mr. Christoph. In fact, he can speak Bahasa Indonesia very smoothly. Next, we will enter into the next agenda. The presenter is Maria Reza. Please applause. Do you know who is Maria Reza? She is CEO of Rappler and senior journalist who have worked for a long time in Indonesia. Normally she covers about terrorism. It's very interesting, and she can speak Bahasa Indonesia. Oh, I apologize. My Bahasa Indonesia is not so fluent yet. I am a journalist. Dan saya datang ke Indonesia pada tahun 95. Itu waktu itu dunia yang sangat berbeda dengan sekarang, dan saya sangat senang kembali ke Indonesia dan bertemu dengan Anda. Kelihatannya ini tidak pernah cukup bagus. Tapi ada hal yang baik. Salah satu alasan kita berada di sini karena kita percaya pada tujuan pembangunan global, dan kita percaya bisa melakukannya sekarang, dan kita percaya kita bisa melakukannya dengan dukungan semua orang. Indonesia adalah sebuah negara yang besar. Mari saya tunjukkan apa yang bisa kita lakukan bersama. Dan ini yang Anda bisa lakukan. Ini adalah landscape Anda di seluruh dunia. Hanya ada 3 miliar pengguna internet, hanya 40%. Tapi lihat Indonesia, Anda hanya mempunyai 28% penetrasi internet. Halo? Tapi 121% pengguna ponsel. Lihat, Apa yang bisa Anda lakukan dengan ponsel Anda? Anda bisa melakukan banyak hal dengan ponsel. Dan ada 72 juta akun media sosial. Di Filipina hanya 40 juta. Dan saya akan tunjukkan, Anda bisa melakukan lebih banyak. Dan Anda sudah membantu untuk memilih presiden. Sementara ada ekspektasi yang signifikan dari presiden ini, bagaimana dengan peran Anda? Apa yang bisa Anda lakukan? Bisa nggak Anda melakukan sesuatu? Ini adalah tren global yang menarik. Teknologi, itu semuanya tentang teknologi. Dan Anda sudah mendengar dari Pak Luhut tentang Silicon Valley. Mari kita bawa Silicon Valley ke Indonesia. 250 juta orang. Anda harusnya bisa melakukannya. Ini 3 hal yang dilakukan. Apabila kita meningkatkan konektivitas, kita bisa menjadi mempunyai pengetahuan tentang digital, kita bisa menyertakan masyarakat miskin apabila kita bisa menggunakan ponsel. Apabila Anda bisa melakukan transaksi di ponsel, kita bisa mendapatkan data. Dan itu
How do we jumpstart it? The first, is the internet. The second is the mobile phone. And then the third is social media. Raise your hand if you have a social media account. All of us, everyone in the room, right? So everyone in the room. Here's what's happening now. Everything is being destroyed, and you may not feel it, but you're part of this. The word is creative destruction, right? Look at it. Does anyone here buy a CD anymore, or do you use Spotify, right? Friends, yes, we still see each other, but Facebook connects us, right? Telecommunications to Skype, photography. Eastman Kodak went bankrupt, and it had all of the digital patents for photography at the same time that Instagram came up and was bought for $1.3 billion simultaneously. That shows you there. So let me just show you what we're trying to do. This is it. In the old world, it used to be just linear growth. And Indonesia's growth is amazing in that sense, right? But this is what technology can do. The hockey stick, exponential growth. I said this in Manila to my countrymen, and I say this to my second home in Indonesia. Can you be the Uber of nations? Can you use technology to grow exponentially? Using technology, we can find new ways of solving old problems so that we can actually achieve this. And I'm going to ask you before you leave if you can choose one and work for it, right? This is how I started. This is the most recent book that I wrote, which is about how terrorism spreads. And you can map it. The thing is, if you can map, in this book I mapped how terrorism spread from Afghanistan to Southeast Asia. And you can see, here's Osama bin Laden, right? He's connected to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the 9/11 architect. He's connected to an Indonesian, the operations chief of JI, Hambali. They're connected, another Indonesian, Dulmatin, but this is the Philippines down here. This man, Salih Said, is a member of the Abu Sayyaf who kidnapped 3 of my journalists in July 2008, and I had to negotiate to get them out, right? We are all connected. Now, if you can connect physically, you can chart the social networks, we can harness the power of social networks, and we can map the spread of emotions. This is the way I see the world. You have an idea, you can spread it. You spread an idea, that's your power, right? If this is us in this room, and you want to spread an idea, you think that you're going to give it to number 10. And when you hit number 10, click that one. Marga, just click it. Right. Oh, no, go back. You have to wait. Click. And when you see it, it'll spread only this far. It only spreads to here. That's called the echo chamber. If you're only talking to your family and friends, that's a physical social network. But imagine what social media does. Social media takes your family and friends and gets rid of boundaries of time and space. Social media are your family and friends on steroids. Now, if I wanted to spread it, I would hit 10, 17, and 2 and watch. That's viral, right? This is the way we see it today, and I think how you can make a difference. It's how we made a difference in the Philippines in Rappler. What we see, the tip of the iceberg, the tweet or the post is only the start. But the post, whatever you write, has an emotion. And that emotion travels on your social networks, on social media, and that impacts behavior. You can move all of this. That's how you can move Indonesia. And you know how I know? That's what we did with Rappler. Rappler started 3 years ago, and our core is still journalism. Still journalism, but we embedded technology in it. And we embedded our crowd, our community, because in the end, we want to progress, right? We want to make things better. We put Rappler in the middle, and we used, this is your information. We used social media, because you can see how fast information spreads. For crowdsourcing, when you all come together to do something together, you can actually change your world. And every step you take on social media or on the internet leads to big data. We can take that big data and throw it right back and run even faster. In less than a year and a half, Rappler became the 3rd top online news site in the Philippines. We're very small here in Indonesia, and we just want to give Indonesians our platform to see if you can use it in the same way we used it in the Philippines. Here's where social media was the game changer. This is when it began, in July of 2009. So this is a Google trend. You know what happened in July 2009? Social media hit a tipping point. Why? Because the numbers are here. I can give them to you later, but look at this. In July of 2010, social media overtook pornography as the #1 activity on the web. And you know why? From the time the internet was discovered, was created until July 2009, until July 2009, pornography was the #1 activity. But in July 2009, social media overtook it. Why? Because when you're on social media, I can give you the studies, but it was nicer to put it like this. When you're on social media, your emotions are being hypersensitive. So in Stanford, they did a study, and they showed that students who were on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, actually had higher levels of certain chemicals and hormones. Like oxytocin is called the love hormone, the sex hormone. So you feel like you're falling in love or you're having... So that's why it could beat pornography as the #1 activity web. The other thing is dopamine. Are you familiar with dopamine? It's a chemical. It causes mild addiction, right? Mild addiction to gambling. So you know when you're on Facebook or Twitter or Path, sometimes it's hard to get off, right? So what can you do with that social media? You can crowdsource. So this is the initial crowdsourcing we do on Rappler. Every story has a mood meter. You click how you feel. When you do that, the data point is aggregated by the mood navigator, and then the mood navigator, all that data can come out like this. In the Philippines in May 2013, we had midterm elections, and we knew based on our data that 77% of Filipinos were happy. But on election day, they were very angry. And they became angry at 7:30 at night when the election results were slow. I can show you some of the stats from your elections here. It was exciting elections on social media, which I'm sure you've seen. This is the God's eye view. When you tweet, when you post, these are Twitter maps. And you can actually see how you fit in your community. This is March of 2011. The Japan earthquake and the Fukushima reactor incident. And the Japanese behave the same way Indonesians behave in crisis, the same way Filipinos behave in crisis. We form clumps around sources of information. That is 6 months before the US presidential elections, and you can see how divided Americans were between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. They couldn't decide, right? Actually, you could see the same thing between Jokowi and Prabowo in the last elections. It was fascinating watching your Twitter map. #Egypt, that's what a revolution looks like. And #Syria, the question I had when I saw this is, when this begins to look like this, does that mean the revolution happened? I want to show you 3 things that show you in real life. This is from the Philippines. Hashtag Million People March. It took one Facebook post 7 days to be able to get about 100,000 to 130,000 people, Filipinos, on the streets protesting against corruption. It was against corruption. And you know, that never really happened in the Philippines because we thought corruption doesn't matter that much, but it really does. So what happened? Well, it's our first internet peer-to-peer driven protest. And when you're walking around here, it's kind of boring because there's no program, there's no stage, and you can see the map. Look at the map. It's very messy, right? So here's the role of journalists. Each of these colors there are little communities trying to form. And what do they form around? They form around information. So I see our role as journalists is to be able to give the public the information they need to create communities of action, right? Let's go to the Philippines. Sorry, let's go to Indonesia and the Philippines before I come to Indonesia at the end. Mary Jane Veloso is, what you may be familiar with is the Bali Nine. But there was a Filipina who was also supposed to be executed. And we began the stories in hashtag Mary Jane as journalists on March 31. And then you can see it became, our community took it and made it hashtag Save Mary Jane on April 26. And then it became hashtag Mary Jane Lives on April 29. How did that happen? And you can kind of see how journalists work with you, right? This is how it happened. We started as journalists first, here, Rappler, Indonesia. We're starting a conversation on Mary Jane Fiesta Veloso. And it's about facts. What are the facts? Do you know the story? And then in the Philippines, Move PH took a more advocacy position with the youth. And what they did is they began a petition online. And here's the funny thing. Our president called your president on a pink Nokia Hello Kitty telephone because they were in APEC and they couldn't find a telephone that worked. And when he spoke with President Jokowi, that was just at the tail end. And at 1 a.m, there was a reprieve that allowed Mary Jane Veloso to testify. This is what the map looked like. And you can see the combination from Indonesia. These are Indonesians, Pak Jokowi at Jokowi Dodot. And then you can see in the Philippines, newspaper, Rappler Indonesia, Rappler.com, Inquirer, our newspapers. Look at the little communities that form and how they come together. That's how you can move your country. Now let's go to the latest hashtag that's here in Indonesia. Hashtag Tragedy Mina. Right? Look at your numbers. This is just from today, from the September 24 to September 25. 10 billion. 7,783,000 tweeting over the weekend. And look at this community. But you don't see a clear leader, right? So Indonesians are looking for information. How can you mobilize that? I'll leave you with just one last thing. Sorry, I want to show you. Let's look. Are you tweeting hashtag 2030 now? Let's look at the community right now. I'm going to just quickly show you this. What's the community?
Yang mau nge-tweet silakan.
So map your community. Let's look at what exactly So we'll see hashtag 2030 now, and we'll see what communities are forming around that, right? And when you can see that, then you can see who you're connected to. That's live. That's right now. Okay, Rappler ID. Who's this? The UN Foundation is using hashtag 2030 now with us. Here's another community. Elizabeth Oy Frank. Who are these? Let's zoom in. We brought Manila in. UN Development Fund. Queen Rania is part of the conversation now. Oops, now you can see the Rapplers are here. That means we're tweeting more than you are. Where are you, Indonesian youth? Right? Helen Clark at UNDP. So you can see that we can form these communities. What can we do with that? Can we move? I'll leave you with one last thing, which is this. We use this for disaster risk reduction because we have an average of 20 typhoons every year in the Philippines. But Indonesia has floods. Indonesia has disasters. Please take this platform and make it your own. What can we do? We work together with the crowd. And what you can do is report on SMS. You can report on Twitter or Facebook if you have information or you need help. And then the last one is you can report on the web. We want to do bottom up and connect it with top down. It's a very complex world and we can't wait for government alone to do everything for us, right? You guys are smart, you're young, you've got more energy. Why are all the women nodding and all the men? Where are you, men? Let me show you the last thing. This is when we had a tipping point in the Philippines. These are all people from our community. Somebody reported a rescue alert. May babaeng nagle-labor. There's a woman in labor on the roof of a house. And then you can see here, rescued by the Philippine Red Cross. The first responder can come on. I'm going to leave you with one last 1-minute video that shows you what a community can do together and how you can make everything transparent and help each other, help government, help us. Audio, video. Ready? Okay. What? In labor on the roof of a house. And then you can see here, oops, rescued by the Philippine Red Cross. The first responder. That's the live stream. Here we go.
Known internationally as Ramasun, intensifies.
Let me start this again.
You
have to bring down the live stream. And how you can make everything transparent and help each other. Hold on. Let me kill it. Sorry about that. That is the so you can see right now we're live streaming Bahasa Indonesia and we're doing a simultaneous translation in English. Thank you with the UN. Now I'll leave you with this. Here we go. This is Typhoon Glenda.
Typhoon Glenda, known internationally as Ramasun, intensifies as it moves closer to the Bicol Samar area Tuesday.
That's our community. Tweeting and putting, right? And then the government has given us this data that shows you where the flooding can occur, so you can see it. Now everyone, our kids are the ones who have put some of this out. Winds picking up here in South. They're telling each other, because you don't have enough journalists in your communities. You're a journalist now. I'll shut up. And the government. There has never been a generation with as much power as you have, with the ability to hold government, to hold the private sector, to hold companies accountable, and to help, right? You know what spreads fastest on the internet, the emotion that spreads fastest, is anger. Anger spreads fastest. The second that spreads fastest is inspiration. Fight the anger. We already know what's wrong. Why not help inspire so that we can actually end poverty, end hunger? You know, that's one of mine. I'll tell you what I'm after. Me, gender equality, quality education, zero hunger, and no poverty. Those are mine, and by extension, Rappler's. I hope Rappler. But we can do it with the technology. Use your power wisely. I'm so glad to be back in Jakarta. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you, Maria. Wait. Okay, so Maria, you choose no poverty, right?
No poverty.
No poverty.
We can do it because now if with the mobile phones, think about the way aid can spread, for example, or the way government can actually help, or the way people can help. We can do it on mobile. And if we can do it on mobile, we can reach everyone. Even if internet connectivity is slow. Sorry, I'll shut up. I'm very excited about
Yeah,
this.
but we have a Q&A first. Oke, ada sesi tanya jawab ya, mumpung ada Maria Ressa di sini karena beliau sibuk sekali. Kalian boleh bertanya. Sebentar, dua pertanyaan. Pertama, siapa yang mau bertanya soal social media dan perubahan, dan silakan yang mau bertanya di depan. Atau bagaimana ini bisa diaplikasikan di Indonesia, bisa nggak kita seperti ini kalau ada misalnya gempa di mana gitu kan. Oke, silakan dua pertanyaan, atau ada yang mau tanya soal terorisme, jaringan teroris. Silakan, ayo. Dua pertanyaan. Pertama, yang di depan. Any question? Because
First of all, ladies, would you like to sit?
Yeah. Dua pertanyaan. Ya, silakan.
Go ahead, silakan.
Nama dan dari mana ya?
Please tell me your name.
Selamat pagi, saya Fani, mahasiswi Hubungan Internasional dari Universitas Dr. Mustafa. Pertanyaan saya untuk Ibu Maria Ressa, hal apa yang membuat Anda sangat tertarik dengan Indonesia? Mengapa tidak memulai dari negara Anda sendiri, Filipina? Ya, terima kasih.
Thank you, terima kasih for your question. First, for me, I came to Indonesia in 1995. I was a journalist here, and I set up a bureau for CNN. And in 1995, there's so many things that are still the same, right? Like haze, for example. But 1995, 1996, the worst riots through Jakarta. I don't know if you remember the PDI. It was still PDI at that point, the PDI riots. The haze and then the financial crisis in 1997, 1998, the fall of Suharto. Then we had the fall of Suharto ending nearly 32 years. We had a Pandora's box. Why am I telling you all of this? I grew up here. I lived here for a decade. Grew up in the sense of being a journalist. I learned so much. You know what we knew in 1998? No one expected Suharto to fall. No one. And I was in touch with all of back then, they were very quietly trying to work against a one-man rule, but they were trying to be outspoken. And then I watched them go into government. People like Mari Pangestu, Dewi Fortuna Anwar, they were all my analysts that we wound up using a lot on CNN. It was amazing to be here and to feel. I think the feeling I had in Indonesia in 1998 is the same feeling I have now with technology. That there is a sense that something is happening, that the world is changing, and we can do something about it. So that's a long answer to why. So there's a personal reason why, but then beyond that, we are neighbors. Where Indonesia goes, Southeast Asia goes. So we want to help you, plus the youth in Indonesia. These are the things we have in common. The median age in the Philippines is 22 years old. The median age in Indonesia is 23 years old. We have 100 million people, you have 250 million people. Together, we actually are the largest parts of ASEAN. But where Indonesia goes, the whole region goes. So we have a lot at stake watching you and hoping that you lead us to better times, right? I watched Indonesia I've covered ASEAN every year from 1987 to 2005. So I could see the governments in our region working, but I think the youth, I love the questions you asked immediately, right? And Indonesia's in a different place now. That's it.
Oke, satu pertanyaan ya.
Saya juga mau terima kasih sama Ibu karena telah mencintai Indonesia seperti Indonesia.
Oke. Thank you for loving Indonesia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then, you know what we hope is that the lessons we learned in building the platform of Rappler is something that we can help with here. You see it. I think I watch Indonesia all the time on social media, and you're huge. In the same way that in 1997, 91% of the companies in Indonesia were technically bankrupt, but Indonesia did not go bankrupt. There is a strength to Indonesians, there is a resilience to Indonesians, and I want to learn from you what you can do with the technology we have. Sorry, the last point. We have some amazing Indonesians we're working with. You can see Febri and our team in Indonesia, in Jakarta. So please help us. If you see something, if we can help in any way, let us know.
Ya, masih ada pertanyaan lagi? Silahkan. Oke, silahkan. One question. Sure.
Hello, my name is Tisa. I'm
Hi,
from
Tisa.
Parahyangan Catholic University. Actually, I would like to ask you maybe one or two questions.
Sure.
Because I am involved in organization, and we kind of develop a website to provide a volunteer experience through website and engage the community. And how can you maintain the community reliability information, and also, for example, to control, because it seems like based on your data, it shows how community works, but how can we as the founder of the program, or maybe the innovator for the website, to maintain and control the community itself to engage with us and involve with us? Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a great question. And the first response is that in today's age, you have to give to get. You have to lose control to actually build community. Does that make sense? Right? If you're on social media, you know this, right? No one can control. Control is out the window. And part of the reason governments and large companies have a difficult time with social media is that we have to let go of power. So part of it is, that's the first step. It's a little bit more like Buddhism than it is Christianity or Islam. Lose control. You have to trust the crowd. And the crowd can turn into a lynch mob like that. It can turn angry immediately. So there's a risk in building community, right? But when you build community and you trust the community, inevitably, the community will trust you back. This new world is about credibility. It's no longer about the brand or just what you want. You have to listen to your community and ask them what they want as you build it. So that's the big overarching thing. But in terms of nuts and bolts, how do you build your community? You need to put both online and offline, right? The online allows you to grow a lot without boundaries of time and space, which is important in Indonesia. So I was reporting from here, and I reported from all 27 of the provinces when you had 27 provinces. And the 27th was East Timor. And I reported that too. So again, now you have many more. You're the largest archipelago in the world. So social media will allow you to actually expand. The second step is you have to feed them what they need. In our world, it's user first. That's a tech world. What does your user need? You cannot just ask them to do things for you, which is what crowdsourcing is. What do they need? And then the last thing I would say is that you can't do it artificially anymore. Like in the past, if you have a lot of money, you can sell a bad product. Now, I don't think you can. Now, Indonesia, because of your internet penetration rate, still has a ways to go. I wish our mobile would be better or faster. You can talk to there will be Indonesian CEOs, including Nadim, who can talk to you about Gojek, which I think I love. You can see what Indonesians are doing with the restraints now, and maybe you can ask him a question then. We can talk more about it later, there's so much more. And I should go.
Interesting, Maria. Oke, jadi satu tweet dari Indonesia itu ternyata sangat berarti ya teman-teman, mulai besok kalau nge-tweet. Kalau bisa ada komunitas dan kemudian kita bisa menggerakkan komunitas itu. Yang terakhir itu kemarin adalah melawan asap ya, hashtag melawan asap. Oke, jadi sekarang saya punya 2 orang, bisa maju nggak ya yang 2 orang peserta untuk memilih satu di antara 17 ini dan menjelaskan kenapa kalian, poin itu sangat penting untuk kalian. Ayo siapa yang berani silakan. 1 orang yang di depan. Apa yang paling penting dari 17 global? Ayo ini udah 2015 ya, silakan maju.
Foreign direct investments, for instance. And you mentioned that you also mentioned about infrastructure. What do you think the government should do in this regard? Well, I've already mentioned that infrastructure is the most important thing when it comes to economic growth, especially for economic development. Because what? Because infrastructure development is a long-term development that this country needs. Because Indonesia's economic growth, infrastructure growth is the lowest in the world. It ranks 77th in the world, and we are still way lag behind in this region, especially when it comes to Papua. So I hope that there will be trains and also tollways in Papua as well as in Kalimantan. Now, please don't forget to keep on tweeting hashtag 2030 now and hashtag 2030 saya. We'll take a break for 10 minutes and we'll continue later on. I will continue with the second.
Ada waktu 10 menit untuk break. Tepuk tangan untuk sesi pertama.
Seven and 8.
Vice versa.
Sebelum kita mulai lagi, kalau ada yang mau selfie foto di depan silakan, bebas saja, santai, nggak usah jaim. Ini bisa lo selfie di sini, silakan. Loh. Iya. Dan jangan lupa untuk men-tweet /2030 now dan tagar 2030 saya ya. Jadi nanti di mapnya itu biar kelihatan kalau misalnya kita mendominasi trending. Seperti itu. Baiklah, kita akan mulai sesi kedua dari Indonesia+SocialGood Summit. Dan di sesi kedua ini kita ada panel ya bersama 3 orang anak muda yang inspiratif sekali. Saya bacakan ya. Ada Rama Raditya, CEO Clue. Clue itu adalah aplikasi untuk program Jakarta Smart City. Selamat datang Rama, ya silakan. Terus kemudian ada Alanda Karisa. Dia adalah aktivis muda penggagas Indonesia Youth Conference dan juga penulis bukunya barusan dirilis. Dan kemudian ada Derta Isya Jora dan Zimar Akbarur Rohim, pemenang kompetisi UN Big Ideas Jalanan Yogyakarta, platform berbasis komunitas untuk melacak jalan rusak. Silakan. Ini dia. Ya, dan yang akan menjadi pemandu panel diskusi adalah Mbak Uni Lubis. Mbak Uni Lubis ini adalah waktu Rappler didirikan itu baru ada 2 orang ya, dan salah satunya adalah Mbak Uni Lubis.
Miss Uni Lubis, she's a senior journalist, former member of the Press Council, and she writes from economy, politics, climate change, and everything.
Mbak Uni Lubis.
Please, Miss Uni Lubis. Good afternoon, Assalamualaikum, peace be upon us all. Thank you, Maria and Natasha, for assigning me to moderate the panel.
Sesudah yang sebelumnya orang-orang yang di atas. Oke, sebelumnya tapi saya ingin milih juga ya. Dari semua ini saya pilih isu perubahan iklim. Karena kebetulan saya sekarang terlibat di steering committee working group untuk climate change. Yang akan mempersiapkan pertemuan kita di Paris pada bulan Desember, COP21,
the COP21,
ikut dalam merumuskan final draft dari INDC, Intended National Determined Contribution dari Indonesia. Kenapa climate change, perubahan iklim ya, kita nggak usah terlalu banyak dijelaskan, karena apa yang terjadi tadi di Kalimantan,
what happens in Kalimantan, the forest fire,
dan semuanya itu membuat security ketahanan pangan kita, kemudian petani bisa mendapatkan penghasilan dari hasil panennya, itu terpengaruh, dan itu ujungnya adalah kepada food security yang tadi dibahas oleh Pak Luhut Panjaitan. Dan kalau petani makin miskin, orang nelayan makin miskin karena situasi tidak bisa membuat mereka melaut ya, mereka pasti akan sulit untuk menghidupi keluarganya, apalagi memberikan pendidikan, meskipun sekarang sudah 3 kartu sakti ya. Sudah ada 3 kartu sakti dari Pak Jokowi pemerintahannya. Jadi saya sekarang sedang sangat mencermati isu-isu yang terkait dengan perubahan iklim dalam semua aspeknya, termasuk peran perempuan, orang muda seperti kita semuanya.
Actually, the inspiration
dari Jakarta sendiri.
was from
Jadi
Jakarta
Jakarta kita
itself.
tahu lah
So we know in
banyak
Jakarta
problem.
there are
Dari
many
macet,
problems:
sampah,
the traffic,
parkir
the
liar,
trash,
jalan rusak.
the damaged
Nah,
roads.
sekarang udah kemacetan malah jadi nomor 1 di
Now
dunia.
the traffic is the
Tapi
number
dari
1 in the
belakang
world.
gitu ya. Setelah
then
saya pikir waktu
after,
itu, ini
I
banyak komen lah ya,
think at
banyak
that time
ngeluh juga
there has
di
been
pet,
many comments,
di
many
Twitter
complaint
dan Instagram dan lain-lain.
on
Cuman nggak ada
Twitter
yang
and so
selama
on,
ini,
but no one
nggak ada yang menindaklanjuti lah.
followed up
Nah,
on those
akhirnya
issues.
terinspirasi juga
So
waktu itu
finally
kita
I
buat
was
gimana
inspired
ada satu aplikasi
to make an app
yang menampung
which
seluruh keluhan
gathered
warga.
all complaints of the
Aplikasi ini,
citizens. And this application
ini presentationnya nyala nggak? Sekalian saya jelasin biar pakai slide lebih enak.
I will use the slides.
Nah, jadi aplikasi ini kita kerjasama dengan
we collaborated with
DKI ya,
the government of
pemerintah
Jakarta.
Dan kita sekitar tahun lalu juga waktu itu ketemu dengan waktu itu Mas Pak Wagub,
we met
Pak Ahok,
with the vice
tawarin
governor,
konsep ini.
Ahok,
Pak, mau
and
nggak
we proposed
berarti
the
semuanya
concept.
aplikasi,
Sir,
semua keluhan
so
warga tertampung
all
ke dalam
public
satu
complaints
platform.
will be
Kita tawarin
contained
juga
in one
sekaligus waktu
platform,
itu
and we offered him at that time, and
mappingnya
we
lah gitu.
offered
Jadi
the
ada
map.
dashboard comment center.
So
Nanti saya kasih lihat di sini.
there was a dashboard, I will show you.
Nah ini
So
Clue sendiri,
this is,
ini
Clue
misi kita.
itself. This is our
We want to
mission.
fully connect people with
We
their
want
city
to fully
information
connect people
worldwide
with their
lah. Tadi
city
kita bisa bilang nantinya kita akan expand ke
information,
kota-kota lain juga.
and we will expand to other
Nah,
cities.
Clue sendiri udah
Clue
available di
itself
Android
is
sama
available
iOS.
in
Jadi sekarang bisa
Android and
di-download
iOS. So now
aplikasinya
you can
dan
download the application.
sangat cukup mudah ya
And it's quite
penggunaannya.
easy to use.
Kita pakai banyak yang avatar-avatar ini untuk
We
melindungi
use
identitas
the
dari
avatar
si
to
pelapor.
protect
Jadi
the
kalau misalnya mungkin pakai
identity
sosial media
of
lain
the
kelihatan
complainant.
identitasnya. Di sini kita bisa pakai username
So
dan
we
juga
can use the
identitas dari
username
pelapor
and
terlindungi.
protect the complainant.
Nah, bedanya di sini,
The
ini
difference
sangat
here,
fokus sekali dengan
this is highly focused
perbaikan dari kota itu
with
tersendiri.
the
Laporan dapat
city.
ditindaklanjuti, setelah itu ada juga namanya fitur ranking.
The complaint
Nah,
can
ranking
be
ini
followed up,
yang
and there's a
menjadi
rank.
indikator untuk si
And
gubernur
the rank is the
rotasi
indicator
jabatan.
for the
Setiap
governor.
3 bulan kan. Nah ini akhir bulan ini ada satu lagi rotasi. Setiap 3 bulan kita lihat nih lurah,
Every
camat,
3
dinas,
months,
kebersihan, oh itu semua dirotasi kan.
we see
Nah, ini
the rotation,
ranking bawah itu,
the rank
accountable ya, sekarang jadi terukur.
is accountable now are measured.
Nah, cuman Clue sendiri sebenarnya hanya
But
bagian kecil dari
Clue itself is just a small part of the Jakarta Smart City program that we offer. We have a dashboard,
cloud ini adalah kita sebutnya Clue Intelligent Cloud Dashboard. Jadinya dia mempunyai kemampuan untuk menyerap
so it has the capability to absorb all information, so from various type of devices on the road like CCTV and so on.
juga social
And there's social media from Clue, Waze, Twitter, and so on, and internal data from the government itself. And I will show you the function, the purpose. We believe with the collected data that can provide an information for change in the future.
untuk Clue sendiri memang
For Clue itself,
kayak saya bilang
so far, like I mentioned,
ada yang
there is no complaint that can be heard directly. I want to bring Clue in the middle of the society in conjunction with the government, and we hope to find a new hope by using Clue so that the public voice can be heard by the government.
ini agak kompleks sedikit.
So this is a bit complex. This is the live dashboard that you can see on the Smart City web jakarta.go.id. That's for public.
Nah, dashboard ini adalah
So this dashboard is an integration of all data.
dilihat di sini ada tata ruang,
There is a spatial plan, traffic data,
ini semua mengintegrasi semua data.
illegal parking, and so on. So Clue itself So these are the indicators of the smart city that we apply. We apply throughout Indonesia. Health, governance, living, environment, mobility, and economy. I will explain one by one the relation with the Clue application. This is from the government, the follow-up of the report, everything is accountable and it can be listed as a rank. We can see here the red color. That means it has not been followed up. The green ones has a high rank. So we can see the before and after picture. So you can see in the app, the public can see and they can analyze which one have red indicators. In Clue, there's a feature. There's a feature whereby we can report on places. For example, bank. So this relates to the private sector. Long queue, poor service. But once we tag the location, it will come into here, and it will be clash with the city planning data. City planning will see whether the location violates the allocation. So the system will send to the spatial planning service to be followed up. Now we are quite fortunate with the Jakarta governor, who is quite active and quite pushy and encourages the staff, and he reformed the bureaucracy of the Jakarta government. So this application becomes powerful, and the data are used for a significant change. There's an analysis in it, and this looks at which locations violates its allocations. So this is a smart government. These are the features. In the future, we will install many IoT devices. Internet of Things. Whereby in 2020, about 25 billion will be connected directly on the internet. But not just our phones or watches or bracelets and glasses, but also CCTV. So the CCTV, traffic flow monitoring, license plate identification, and so on. So the expectation, this will become data that can be combined with other data. For example, there's a data wave, that is our partner. There's a data wave. We hope that this system can provide recommendation in the future for the governor from 9 to 12. The Sudirman Road is always traffic based on the data waves and CCTV and the report from Clue. So the CCTV will count the vehicles. The Clue will inform the reason why there is a traffic congestion. Is it because the traffic lights are out of service or other reasons? And the Jakarta bus, the busway system. From this Clue, from the results on the data with the government, can you tell us one example that was responded to and became a policy? For example, about the movement of the street vendors. So from we can see directly in Clue, there are many green indicators that can be clicked. So the before and after picture can be viewed. And we position the photo at the same angle, and the government offices sometimes have different locations, and the time is different. The traffic is in the afternoon, but the photo is in the morning. So we push the community in Clue to return the green report to red. So they made a community. They reported many reports. So the Clue has become a community in the social media. This is the traffic report. In the future, there are many things. The traffic light will be connected. This is to facilitate the maintenance, and we will know the energy consumption in North and South Jakarta to reduce energy use for the traffic light and for the park lighting. And then there is also clue bin. A smart trash bin that can inform the sanitation office when they are full. So we hope in the next 5 years it will be implemented, and all those devices will be connected to the dashboard. Thank you, Rama. We will continue later with Q&A. Applause for Rama.
Kalau saya sih belinya balik lagi ke education. Soalnya yang paling utama itu menurut saya
Because for me the most
adalah
important thing is
kita buat guru sendiri adalah
for school itself, we are still in the initial phase. It is for protection. We expect that by using glue, there will be no more garbage being littered. This is part of the preventive phase
founder dari
of
Indonesia
now.
Youth Conference,
Reza, the founder of Indonesia Youth Conference, and he is also the speaker of many different conferences,
dia juga
both at home
punya
and
buku
abroad.
yang saya udah baca,
He
sangat
represents
inspirasional,
Indonesia, and
Jangan
he
lupa ya
has
teman-teman supaya
a book called
cerita-cerita
Dreamcatcher.
positif yang
The book is very
inspiring tadi Maria
inspirational.
mengatakan
So
yang
don't forget
inspiring nomor
that the
2 kalau
inspiring stories,
kemarahan itu
as
paling
Maria
cepat
has put it,
berpindah di internet menyebar. Yang
anger
kedua ada inspiring.
spreads
Hari ini
fast,
pembicaraan kita semua inspiring.
the
Please share
second
dengan
point
dengan
that
hashtag
spread fast is also
2030 saya, hashtag 2030 now, sehingga
So please
semua yang
Twitter
tidak ada di ruangan ini punya
hashtag
kesempatan
2030
untuk
now
menikmati apa yang
hashtag 2030
telah mereka kerjakan dan bisa menginspirasi
so
yang lain.
that
Silakan
all
Ananda.
would know. Now please, the floor is yours.
Selamat pagi semuanya.
Semangat
Semangat ya?
Good morning to all of you.
Kalau gitu jawabnya lebih kencang lagi dulu. Selamat pagi semuanya.
Good morning.
Nah, ini berarti udah sarapan.
This is
Mungkin
passionate,
saya berbagi dikit aja cerita saya. Kan hari ini panelnya adalah soal media sosial dan teknologi dan gimana kita sebagai anak muda bisa melakukan sesuatu dengan teknologi yang ada. Mungkin tadi udah banyak apa ya ide-ide dari pembicara-pembicara sebelumnya yang ditanamkan di kepala kita bahwa teknologi yang ada sekarang itu jangan cuma digunakan untuk hura-hura aja. Misalkan selama ini selalu ada paradigma atau persepsi bahwa anak muda nih cuma bisa hura-hura aja gitu. Padahal sebenarnya kita punya kapasitas untuk mengubah itu. Itulah cerita awal dari 5 tahun yang lalu, 6 tahun yang lalu kebetulan saya diundang untuk menghadiri sebuah forum aktivis muda internasional yang namanya Global Change Makers. Itu di Inggris waktu itu. Ada 60 anak muda yang diundang dari seluruh dunia dan kami diberi pelatihan soal bagaimana caranya membuat sebuah proyek sosial untuk menyelesaikan masalah yang ada di komunitas masing-masing selama bentuk itu. Jadi saya diajarkan soal gimana caranya bikin proposal, gimana caranya jadi media partner, gimana cara fundraising gitu. Tapi yang membuat saya agak kecewa waktu itu adalah dari 60 aktivis muda yang diundang, anak muda Indonesia cuma 1 gitu. Padahal ada banyak negara-negara berkembang lainnya atau yang perwakilannya bisa lebih dari 2 gitu. Jadi walaupun mungkin negara seperti Amerika Serikat misalnya punya 3 perwakilan, negara Malawi juga punya 3 perwakilan misalnya. Tapi kok dari Indonesia cuma 1 ya? Padahal anak muda Indonesia sekarang ada lebih dari 60 juta populasinya gitu. Dari pengalaman tersebut, saya punya cita-cita untuk mereplikasi apa yang saya pelajari di sana ke Indonesia supaya ada lebih banyak anak muda Indonesia yang punya kesempatan yang sama untuk belajar bagaimana caranya bikin proyek sosial di komunitas masing-masing. Apalagi kan kita ada 34 provinsi waktu itu sih kalau nggak salah masih 33 gitu. Cuman setiap daerah punya masalah yang masing-masing gitu. Dan mungkin kita yang di Jakarta belum tentu bisa
its own problems, and we in Jakarta may not be able to solve problems in Aceh or in have their own ways of solving problems because they are the ones who understand their own provinces most. but we can learn together, and that's why we come up with an idea called Indonesia Youth Conference. Nowadays, many young people are involved in social organizations, in youth activities and volunteering activities, or going to remote areas. In 2010, there was their number was not many. There are young university students who do not know how to join, and there are media about music, about corruption. We conclude the meeting with. So it is like it is intended to increase the awareness of young people. In the first year, there were 400 young people coming, and then from the year 2010 up to the year 2015, finally we decide to hold the event every year. And nowadays, people who come to the event are amount to 2,500 people. Well, perhaps there are many young people who use Twitter and Facebook, but not many brands or celebrities who are using that, because social media was still new. So we decided to use the social media as the main medium to introduce Indonesia Youth Conference. Why? Because it's free and many young people use it. And so we think that rather than putting an ad on TV or on newspaper, which is expensive, we just use the social media. And the initiative was yielding results, and there are about 170,000 people following us through Twitter, Facebook, and so on. Even though during the events that we arrange, there are about 2,000 people coming. And we try to disseminate the information about us through the social media, because we think that arranging or holding one event a year, that would not give a bigger impact, or the impact would not be as big, and if we communicate with them through the social media. So I would say that Indonesian young people activities are Indonesia Youth Conference. Digitally, we created a so-called Bantu Indonesia. Bantu Indonesia is more or less the same like what Maria Reza has shown. At that time, there were 3 disasters. Wasyor, Mentawai, if you still remember, there were 3 major disasters taking place at more or less the same time: tsunami, an earthquake, and also volcanic eruption. And at that time, the information on the social media was scattered. So everyone tweeted that you can donate this or to that place or to this place. And we had no idea where we should give our donations, because so many people talk about so many things. And because we have followers on our social media, we decided to establish Help Indonesia, and it is a platform in which we curated all information about places receiving donations or aid. If you want to send money, where you should send the money. If you want to donate blood, where you should go. And if you want to donate food, where to turn to, and so on. So that so back in 2013, when Jakarta was flooded, we also raised raised a similar app on how to help Jakarta. I think this is an example of how social media can be used to positively contribute to the progress of Indonesia. And perhaps I could give one more example. And another thing that I could share with you is that Indonesia Youth Conference and its associated programs or concomitant programs have the objective to inspire young people, and so that young people have a channel to carry out that. Because too often we have heard that, well, actually I want to become a volunteer in my own area. I wanted to start something, but I do not know where I should start or which organization I should join. And because of this, in 2012, we created another digital platform called petamuda.org. You can also access that. On Petamuda, there is a map of Indonesia, and we can find out which the social organizations that Indonesian young people could support and could join. For example, friends who are artistic. I mean, art could also have social impacts and also have other people. You can check artistic communities all over the Indonesia by clicking org, and you can know the name of the organization, where to address, and what they need, and so on. So from that, we want that young people do not just do it, but finally there is a way for them to do something by joining the existing organization, or by starting up their new organization, or create a new organization. That's how we use social media and technology. Please give an applause. So, Mr. Cahyojo, Tirta Isya Jora, and Zimat Akbarur. Maybe on the social media, it is not as popular as Almanda.
As winners of the competition organized by the UN, big ideas that can change and be beneficial for the public. Please tell us why you participate in that event, and what is conveyed that made you want. Assalamualaikum, peace be upon us. Good morning, everyone. Here I represent my colleagues from Jalanan Yogya. We would like to inform you on what we have initiated in a competition, a UN competition. So our ideas was named Jalanan Yogya. From this name, maybe you can conclude that the idea will be about the roads in Jakarta. So if I can inform you, the picture didn't come up. We participated the idea in the competition, the UN Big Idea Issue competition. Urban issues using data innovation. So this competition tried to find solutions from university students, pre-graduate and postgraduate students related to issues in a city. The competition was held by Ministry of Science and ICT and Future Planning of South Korea in collaboration with the Korea Information Agency and United Nations Global Pulse. Fortunately, our team succeeded in obtaining a gold prize in this competition. So, myself, I'm Teresa Jora. These are my friends and my brothers, Jimar, and my friend who is not here. So all of us are university students, like most of you here. We're from University of Gajah Mada. So the road, the initial idea, we believe that roads are very important for the life, for our daily lives, starting from going to the office and then going to the market, and then there are our brothers and sisters who are school going. We will use the roads to reach our destinations. But in reality, the number of the roads in Indonesia, 12% experienced damages, 4,600 kilometers, equivalent to the distance from Seoul in South Korea up to New Delhi in India. So we think it's quite long, and it passes through China on the map. So, but the process for road repair in Indonesia, as we know, the government will collect data manually. So one by one, the data was collected and then the road was repaired. I think that has the potential to waste time and money because it has to involve be done. Damaged road is also very hazardous. We can see 28% of accidents in Indonesia out of some 5,000 accidents occurred because of damaged road. So I often see when I go home in Pemalang in central Java, the damaged road 2 years, 3 years remain the same condition. So I think the government at mountainous region, they do not know about the condition of the road. What about the roads in Kalimantan, in Papua or eastern Indonesia? And even in Java, there are many damaged roads. Therefore, we try to utilize the existing technology, namely Twitter, and we try to involve the government and the public. So the other day, we participated. So the way it works is similar with so the public report will be collected by our system and then it will be mapped and will be presented in the form of digital map. They can take the video because based on our experience in Indonesia, each young person has different interests, and when they based on their interest, they are more all out compared to focusing on an issue they're not so interested on. So as long as everyone can collaborate, all other issues should be able to be resolved together. What about you? Oh, I am Delta. For me, I will select 9, but not related to the damaged road, but on infrastructure. 9 is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So the road in Jakarta, I believe there's often traffic congestion, and when I'm in Jogja, when I go to an event, I can take my time, but here I have to be early. But Jogja is getting congested too, but not as bad as Jakarta. What about you? Which goal do you choose? Quality education, number 4. Based on my experience several months ago, education at small islands are very difficult. I'm in Belitung. Many of my friends complain how people at their age who should have received certain material, they have not received the learning materials. Thank you. So, colleagues, we have 10 minutes for Q&A. So, if you ask question, if possible, ask briefly, mention your name and
You came by your own, so the idea come from you, Alanda, and then you created, you set up a team, and how do you make the movement? And well, based on my experience, and I think that many other people do the same thing, what is important is to find like-minded people, or look for friends with the same vision, or more or less the same visions. For example, if you want to build an education community, look for friends with the same interest in Indonesian education. At that time, I started with 5 to 7 persons or people, and then they engage their other friends, and finally there were 30 people, and then we could then set up a foundation or a group. So firstly, you should meet with people with the same interest, but they should come from different backgrounds. So that would make it easier for us to solve problems, because IT people would have different solutions to geography people or communications people. So the solution, I think, would be all-rounded. Thank you. Please. Thank you, Sister Uni. I would like to ask questions to Rama, Brother Rama. My name is Alexander Zulkarnain. Brother Rama, I'm interested in what you have said. I have questions. The first question is, what about the security factor of the data that you have collected? Because you accessed a lot of government data, and you also have accessed a lot of public facilities. That was my first question. And then if we take a look at smart cities, have you been working together with TMC of the provincial police? Because at traffic lights, those with traffic lights with the most cars are usually the slowest. So what you have done with your friends at KCC and others, because traffic is also quite important, it's also quite decisive. Thank you, brother. First, with regard to security, there are data linked to government data, and these data are confidential, and the data have to be at the database. So everything is there. So right from the beginning, the implementation was that all the data, including internal data, have to be at the data center. And we also have hired consultants to continuously test the security of the data center and to communicate so that the data are always secured, at least in Indonesia. And second, with regard to traffic management, you are asking whether we are working together with TMC. Well, yes, in the future. And the expectation is that in the transport sector, we could integrate all the devices, including traffic lights, because traffic lights are not going to be replaced, but it will be combined with other systems which we could modify so that when there are a lot of queues of cars, then the queues could be the queues problems could be solved. And actually, everything has to be systemized, and we are building algorithm which could provide machine learning, which provide recommendations that based on daily patterns from this hour to that hour, the planning should be changed, should be adjusted to such a timing. Thank you, Haryo. Haryo Wisanggeni. Please use the mic. This is just a prototype, right? Do you have a plan to develop your application like a clue, so that that would be beneficial for the city government, like in Jakarta, so that you could reach the scale and the impact of the clue? Whether you have foresee any issues with regard to this. I need your answer for an article. Well, thank you. Actually, even though we have just submitted the idea to the competition, we would like to very much want that this idea could also be implemented, and we have already presented the idea at Bappenas, the National Development Planning Agency, and they welcome the idea very much, and they also added additional features, because there are classes of roads such as provincial roads, district roads, municipal roads, and so on. And because this is crowdsourcing, so we are still not able to filter which reports are genuine and which reports are spams. And this is the topic of my thesis.
So, okay, what is the topic of your thesis? About the vulnerability associated with forest fire vulnerability, and I will be more on mapping. I know that there are still a lot of questions, but this is just an introductory forum for those who do not know yet. So just please go on with your Twitter or with your Instagram or Facebook, so that we could disseminate or spread what inspired them as young people. Please give a big hand to the panelists. And the next speaker is the founder of Gojek. Happy, please. Thank you to the 4 speakers in the panel discussion, and we have already, well, it is apparent the brother Nadiem Makarim with the pink shirt. He is the founder of Gojek Indonesia. Do you come here with Gojek? Mas Nadiem will talk about Gojek or the and things associated with it. Well, hello, good day. How are you, friends? Where is Rama? Rama, hi bro. I'm sorry I came a bit late because motorcycles are not allowed to enter the Tamrin area. This is rather complicated that I have to walk from Kebon Sirih to here. That's why I'm all sweat. Sorry for that. I'm very happy. I'm delighted to be able to talk with you here. Maybe I am not going to talk too long. It will perhaps take about 10 to 15 minutes because I think the Q&A would be more interesting. Firstly, I would like to greet the friends from the panelists. I regret that I do not listen to their presentations. I just want to know their inspirations. I am very familiar with Clue. I know Sister Alanda, and Clue for me is has a very great potential to change the accountability in Indonesia. And we will be working together with Clue so that people, when they complain on the Gojek or the motorcycle taxi services, they could do so through the Clue application. If you are working with Gojek, you have to be tough because Indonesians like to complain. But I think complaint is good because complaint shows emotional ties between the person and the product. So we open space for complaints, as much as possible space for complaint, because it is through that way that we could be better. I don't think that I need to introduce Gojek. If I may know how many of you have used Gojek. Okay. Sorry for being faithful in using the work of the child of this nation, even though our neighbor Malaysia is cheaper, but it seems that you are so loyal to the product of your own country, freedom. So the theme is innovation for innovation to economic growth. Well, I don't think that I need to explain about Gojek, but I would like to tell you the vision of Gojek. Well, because we think, and it turns out that, initially we thought we would be an online motorcycle taxi service company, but we were wrong. Well, perhaps all our on-demand services for shopping, for paying everything, for buying food. And you have used Komart, but the application is already there, right? So please use Comart quite often. It is exciting. So we thought we would be an on-demand delivery for shopping, but it proved to be wrong. It turns out that the Gojek concept is something that is bigger. So now the vision of Gojek is no longer a business. Indeed, it is still a business. We are still for-profit business. We very much believe in for-profit model, but Gojek is no longer a business alone. It's not just a business. Gojek has become a revolution. So we are thinking of ourselves as not as an employer, or employer or the owner of a Gojek, but as the spearhead of technological advance in Indonesia. And we expect that Indonesia is not chasing the United States, Europe, China, or India. Our aspiration is that we should leapfrog them, because the potential for IT leapfrogging is very great, because Indonesia, I think in 4 years' time, all the people, including fishermen, would have smartphones. And the second thing is because we are very fond of social media. Just because of the social media, many people want to buy smartphones. That's why our technological IT development in Indonesia could be great without any support from the government. The private sector could do it alone, or could do it first. In the past, people could mark up prices, but now with smartphones, everyone could access products and services directly to the providers, making the economy more efficient. In the future, Gojek may want to launch a product every month. So we have already launched Comart, and soon we will be #1 online full groceries or shopping services in Indonesia through Comart. And later on, we will launch GoBox. It is similar to Gojek, but it is for trucks and land vans. So, but we will also have we are also providing pickup services, so that all so that fleet owners could monetize their fleets, because in Indonesia things are quite strange. We at the same time we are lacking of feed, and we are also have an over supply of feed. And before Gojek, we are like, it is as if we are have an over supply of motorcycle taxi services, but when we need them, they are not there. That's an opportunity for market innovation, because with the equilibrium between demand and supply, prices would automatically go down. So this is a win-win situation, and so they could bring their take-home base could be bigger, and consumers also win, because the prices, the fares, the motorcycle taxi service fares are lower, and this is the opportunities that we will offer, the services that we offer. So maybe later on, GoPay is no longer a suitable name, and we would maybe change into Go app. And we also want to help not just those on wheels, but we also would like to assist other sectors. So later on, there will be services associated with cleaners, with massage, with cosmetics, and so there will be many different services, not just on wheels. But we can order not just motorcycle taxi services, but we can also order persons, so that there is no more middleman. Middlemen could no longer profit from the transactions, because people can also access services directly from the providers. That's why I have a lot of enemies of our aspirations and our network of transport and our through technology, so that everyone in Jakarta and in other cities could use different types of transportation means. So those of you who think that Gojek want to compete with public transport, that's wrong. That's totally wrong. The motorcycle taxi services or ojek could serve as the largest feeder networks, and this is no other way to reach to busway station or or train stations without Gojek. So Gojek or Ojek could serve as feeders. So who knows? We will help our friends from Organda. We can also assist our friends with Organda with our Indonesian transport organization. So we are not going to compete with them, but we want to embrace them. However, with the success of Gojek, in terms of users, many many businesses feel that they are threatened. But that's okay, because in the end, Gojek will also help them. So we will no longer have our own fleet. We will help those with the fleets. That was one. And then, friends, I have checked it. What is your backgrounds? Are you entrepreneurs or are you students? You are still students. Most of you are still students. Please raise your hands if you are still students or you still go to school. Yeah, university students, please raise your hands. Those of you have already graduated, please raise your hands. Those of you have already have your own business, please raise your hands. Okay. No, first of all, I need to talk one thing. One of my objectives today is not to talk, but to recruit. I have to be transparent. There is no important impacts of me being here except for inviting you. So, the bottom line, if you want to work for technology to better our country, please work for Gojek or for Clue. So first, we have to be quite explicit. For those of you who are thinking on how to become future leaders in technology, please email monica@gojek.com. That's CS, our HR human resources manager. I'm not promoting. I'm not promoting. I'm cultivating next leaders or future leaders. Gojek has fast to several principles. So this is perhaps more interesting in terms of innovation on how Gojek could launch new products very quickly, and how it could grow so fast, and so on. And this is the reason. First, never underestimate luck or fortune. In every business, our most important friend is luck or fortune. Don't forget that, and never think that your success is attributable to your because you are great. People who think that they are successful because they are great, because they are smart or clever, that would not be good in the long term. So for those who are not religious, this is serendipity. Gojek has a lot of fortune and luck, but we are also quite smart in finding or in identifying luck or fortune, because we do something quickly and we monitor market reaction or responses, and we respond very quickly. Now I'm going to tell you the internal principles that we do internally to take advantage, or what is the Indonesian for taking advantage, to take advantage of the luck or the fortune. principle number one, and this is a principle that still confuses a lot of companies in the private sector. Principle number one is we turns the philosophy of an organization upside down. Conventional wisdom says that the bigger we are, more meetings, the more meeting we will have, the more meeting progress reviews will there be, the more layers we will have, and there will be more control mechanisms. Because the assumption is that the bigger the company is, the more difficult it is to control. Now, if the assumption, what is the assumption? If we, for example, the bigger we are, things would be chaotic and we will be getting out of control. The assumption is that human beings are fundamentally stupid, and that human beings are not able to regulate themselves. And in my opinion, this is the worst mindset in Indonesia's corporate culture. There are so many rules of the game. The working times, the working hours are very tight, and the regulations concerning the leaves are also very tight. And they are doing progress review, and they are not updating, and they are just collecting figures for report to their boss. We have no holidays. We have no leave. So, but they work on their own, but the target is aggressive, and everyone knows the performance because every year we release that from our system digitally and present that to our management. So we are 100% transparent. Everyone knows. So this means that we do not have to have a meeting every morning, because every morning reports are there. Those of you who are ashamed would be ashamed. Those of you who are proud would be proud. So that this all depends on the management system, so that we have time to execute demands very quickly. Second, decision making. Decision making is not taken from above, from the top. No, not at all. Everyone may make decisions, even those at the junior levels, and no one would never be accused or would never be blamed for making the wrong decisions. One of the at Gojek there is a driver who get a credit 400,000. He get 400,000, and this is one of our mistakes. Within a year, we have dispersed 4 billion. But in other companies, the team that make the mistakes would be fired, but not in our mistake. So if you have already made a mistake, that's okay. But don't make the same mistakes next time. No one would be blamed at Gojek when you make mistakes. But there is one thing that you will be blamed. If you don't make any decision, meaning that would mean that you have do not dare to take risks, and you would not survive. You would not make any progress. That's why there are 5 principles that we have, as far as I can remember. Number 1, be fearless. Number 1, that's the most important thing. From top to bottom, Gojek, whenever there are problems, if Gojek should never be afraid of competition, of regulations, of people getting accident, of people losing their belongings. 150 people would not have jobs from us. We have 150 people. So first, courage. That's key. Second, customer obsession. We steal this from Amazon. Customer obsessions. So with customer experience, whatever the customer is experiencing, we have to experience that also. So everyone could use Gojek, employees could use Gojek, so that all knows the ups and downs of the situation. Number three, zero ego. Everyone may criticize everyone else. CEO may criticize subordinates may also criticize the CEO. And if we criticize something, please think of the bigger companies. Don't just think of your own targets. Because we are family. And number four is numbers driven or the agreement. One of the things that make me most that get me a lot of frustration is that because I used to work for many different companies, including state-owned companies. One issue that always make me frustrated is that every time a person wants to propose an idea or an issue, they never come up with data, with figures. Many people say that, well, we have to change this because this is poor, this is not good. But please specify how poor is this, how many customers should be affected. Well, I want to propose a solution. I think this is good. How many improvements we can have. So the last one, or the fifth or the last one is inspire others. Meaning that in our day-to-day activities, we have to inspire people in our surrounding with our energy, with our willingness to help others, with open eyes and with open hearts. And these are the 5 points that we use to review people at Gojek. Well, it's quite strange, isn't it? Actually, people should be reviewed based on KPI, on achievements. But we review them based on their characters, on their behavior. And frankly speaking, at Gojek until now, no one in our team has not been subjected to the targets. This is something that is quite strange for me because if the targets could be achieved, usually the target is not achieved, is not high enough. At Gojek, no one being reviewed or being evaluated based on the achievement of the targets. We have no working hours. There is no regulation as to at what time you have to come in and what time you have to go out. But when I was present at the office at 10 in the evening, my office is full. Because why? Because if we trust our team, if we trust people, and we believe that they are fundamentally good, they will be self-correcting and they will be always motivated. And so if this is the situation, there is no need for regulations. We have no regulations at all, and this is the concepts of the principles of innovation as to why we are able to hyper-diversify with so many products. Almost every month we issue a new product so that we could reach this far. Now I would like to stop here, and perhaps I believe that there are a lot of questions on your minds about Gojek, so I will leave it to the floor.
Terima kasih Mas Nadiem. Tepuk tangan dong. Berikutnya sesi tanya jawab.
Next is Q&A. I will invite 2 questions. So you first and then him. Good afternoon. My name is Sita Supama. I'm from Volunteer ID. My question is actually specific in the business model context, because with taxi, the public transport in general, there's a modernization whereby the vehicles belong to the company, and even it belongs to him, there's a process to pay the credit, whereas Gojek is fully owned by the driver. So what does Gojek do in the future? Because motorcycle will be broken eventually. Is there a system whereby they can renew their vehicles? Oh, that is for sure.
Thank you for the question. Very good question. Basically, when we recruit them, there is a compliance audit. How old is the motorcycle? Then after that, there is ongoing. We have safety training, how to handle your motorcycle. So we are not satisfied with them just having a license. We conduct additional safety training that involves the feasibility of the motorcycle. Secondly, we already have a deal with Honda for consumer financing, motorcycle financing. So now the drivers whose motorcycles are old because their income now are good, they can renew the motorcycle. They can, if above 6 years, they must replace their motorcycles. So there is rules, compliance on the feasibility. And thirdly, with our customer rating, many customers provide rating. For example, 1 star, because, for example, the motorcycle is not running smooth, or the brake is too harsh, or not so good. So our customer rating is to monitor the performance of our drivers. So the performance is the users. So that's why we have thousands of drivers by using the effort of the customers to provide feedback to us. So in terms of the safety of the vehicles, of the motorcycles, there are various elements that we apply, that we have implemented. How do we ensure that they have sufficient fund at the end of 6 years, like you mentioned, when they have to replace the motorcycle? So there's a collaboration with Honda. But what is your company? What do you provide to the drivers? Is there savings or something? We do not treat our drivers like people who cannot think independently. They are their own responsibilities to comply. So after 6 years, I don't have money, sir. Then you have to leave Gojek. We are very disciplined on that because that concerns safety of the passengers. But if you ask us what we give is income, a lot of income, until they 2 times, 3 times their income, and they can pay installment, especially with a special rate from Honda without a down payment. So that is very easy for them. If we calculate on average the income of the Gojek drivers, they can buy a new motorcycle, and technically they can fully pay in 6 months, but we adhere to 2 years, 3 years, so that they can still, so that their financial burden won't be so high. The next question, please stand. Good afternoon. I'm Faiz from International Business School. I would like to ask at Gojek itself, and maybe on the field, we will compare with other commuters, especially for Gojek convention. There was an event, for example, in Bekasi. The Gojek driver was beaten up and so on. So from your management, what have you done to protect your drivers, and how do you communicate with the Gojek conventionals? This has become a focus of our company for the past 4 months. Our priority is to socialize, especially to bases who are still resistant, and to convert them to join Gojek. And some are beaten up, and the number of bases that became green, and they never tell the media the number of bases which use banners, anti-Gojek banners, to receive our attention, and so that they can enter Gojek sooner. That has also never been covered by the media. So that is an effective strategy. I salute that. That is very clever, because we prioritize recruitment there. So
there are many locations which were previously resistant to Gojek. Now is not too many of them now. Several big bases are still there, but we have a task force. If there is any violence, there is zero tolerance. We will contact the police to deal with the situation and to enforce the law. Otherwise, if it's just a resistance, our team will come to socialize about the benefits of Gojek, because at the end, ultimately, it doesn't make sense why Gojek drivers don't want to join Gojek, because there is no cost and the benefits are unlimited. So it's strange. So it's just about mental mindset. If we explain, for sure they will join Gojek because there is no losses on their side. Okay, please, third question. What's your name? I'm Yesi from President University. Personally, I would like to thank Gojek because you have helped to reduce unemployment in Jakarta. And also, listening to Idea Fest that Gojek will collaborate with Tokopedia and there will be Go Clean, Go Cook and so on. So indirectly, Gojek will have a large profit. And personally, I think, is that true? Oh, not yet. But personally, I think that we have a theme, 2030 now. Personally, I'm most concerned with handling of climate change. And previously, government and others said that embrace to walking and riding bicycles and public transport to reduce pollution. Whereas with Gojek, it's cheaper and faster, but the pollution will increase. So are you concerned for this, for climate? Because if this continues until everyone uses motorcycle, I think by 2030, ozone will be depleted. So that's my question. Yep, great question. First of all, before Gojek's name became Gojek, I tell you, actually the first name was Green Bike, because previously our vision was to bring electric motorcycle to Indonesia. Because for this, it's strange why we still use the combustion engine for motorcycle. It didn't make sense for me. In China, everything is electric bike. So that will reduce the emission significantly. But the fundamental economics and the regulatory of the government has not supported electric motorcycle. Just imagine what will happen if the government say, okay, for electric scooters, there is no tax at all coming into Indonesia. What will happen? Exactly, it's simple. The solution is simple to make it equal, but there are many special interests and so on. Gojek really wants to advance to electric vehicle, but this is one of the things that is not in our control. It's not in our control. That will happen, but we cannot control because it all deals with tariff, the government's tariff and tax and so on. That is one. Now, we know that we really want to go there, but we cannot. Secondly, what do you think will happen if everyone that rides Gojek, who previously rode cars, take Gojek? Well, what will happen to emission in Jakarta? Mathematically, cars, the emissions are far higher. Anyone has motorcycles here? Anyone has motorcycle? Per day, how many liters of fuel do you use? 20,000 rupiah? One week, 20,000 rupiah. Oh, you just use it just once, back and forth, that's it, just one round trip. So conservatively, one day 10,000 rupiah. Anyone has a car? How many times the use of the fuel? 10 times. 10 times, clearly. Minimal 10 times. Now I ask you, on average, per trip with a car, how many people per trip? And for motorcycle, how many people per trip?
Same. It's the same. So about 1.5. So I've been saying since a long time ago, if everyone in Jakarta rides electric motorcycle in one day, instantly, we can eliminate two main problems in Jakarta. Number one, traffic will be gone, will be eliminated directly. Only motorcycle, other vehicles not allowed. It will eliminate traffic congestion and pollution. So bikes is in this solution, but bikes, because the pollution is very high and the speed of the bicycle is very slow, so it's still difficult. Not to mention with the many vehicles. The enemy of a bicycle is not motorcycle. Is the bicycle have accidents because of cars, and motorcycle accident is also caused by cars or buses. So I apologize. The argument is correct. It's very important. But if you compare with the alternatives, because so many people use Gojek, and they now leave their cars at home. Now they fully use Gojek. All my friends, those who have cars, they have various types of cars, not just from Honda Jazz to Alphard. They leave them at home. Now they use Gojek, and there is a positive impact, in my opinion. Mr. Yusuf Kala said Gojek already reduced traffic by 10% in Jakarta. I don't know where he got the figure, but I agree with the direction. His direction is already in the right direction, and indeed it's true. Many people use Gojek, and they leave their personal cars at home. So in terms of emission, actually the motorcycle is less, although it seems it is making the road crowded and polluting. But what I hope the government will conduct something that is aggressive in differentiating the tariff for cars and electric vehicles, electric motorcycle in Indonesia, because that is the future. Okay, next question. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum. My name is Alexander Zulkarnain. I am from Binus Business School, but actually I have graduated. Now I teach. My question, based on the business side, when Gojek see the product life cycle will decrease, will go down. Second, if I see now, I don't know the data, that's why I ask, is it true that now it's oversupply? So there are too many Gojek, because if we see it's green and so many, and we see on the street people are sitting and waiting for orders. And my final question, will Gojek develop its business to go pharmacy or go ambulance, because there are many for other applications, Go Food and Go Mart. Actually, my friend already developed sigmin.com. So anything you want, they have it, including appliances and so on. That's all. Thank you. Can I clarify with what you mean by product cycle, product life cycle? So in the beginning, Gojek was issued, the interest was high, many people was interested, many people downloaded, but when there's a time like handphone or a product, the popularity will decrease, the product life cycle will decrease, so people will not be so excited to use that. Not to mention now there's Gojek and Grab Bike and Blue Jack and Blue Gojek Syariah and so on. I don't understand. So it's like that. The difference between transportation and delivery or fashion brand or new food, for example, new martabak. In Indonesia, there are many businesses that follow the product life cycle. It goes up and down, but there won't be a situation where people do not need transportation. There is no situation where people will not need food delivery. There won't be a situation where people won't need grocery delivery or to deliver goods. So for service, I think it's a bit different. For service with a fundamental concept, I think the product life cycle will continue to exist as long as it is still competitive. against the competitors. Other competitors validate that the market is so large and there can be several players in it. Although now, like you mentioned, the supply, no one beats the supply of Gojek because we are the largest number. Anywhere, any corners, there will be a Gojek next to you. The question on oversupply, indeed, it's true. At that time, we mass recruited. It was very large, but this is a natural cycle in Gojek. It will be rich and then go down, and then the demand will go up and then go down. And then there will be an equalization. So it doesn't mean that the driver will get 10 million rupiah every month. So that means the market is not rational yet. So there must be a rationalization, and the cycle is natural. So now we slow down the recruitment, we catch up with the demand, and then we will catch up again. So that is the most difficult to balance that. But in reality, for colleagues at Gojek, is it quick to use Gojek now? It's very quick. You can get it right away if the system is not down. So we're handling it now. But I use Gojek six times a day, so I know our customer experience is very high. Our arrival time is very fast. At that time I was in San Francisco, I used Uber. Record arrival time in the world for app transportation. In Uber, in San Francisco, in 3 minutes, the car will arrive. At the places where I took Gojek, now it's already 3 to 5 minutes. The Gojek arrives. So our target is to push that to 2 minutes. So we will try to figure that out together. That is the impact of the high supply, of the large supply. For sure, both parties will not be happy at the same time. Consumer and driver fundamentally are two opposite sides. The consumer wants as much as possible, but the driver wants as little as possible. So that is a balance that we're trying to strike. What was the third question? How many times we offer the service? In terms of the regulation, the owner of the ambulance are not comfortable in doing it. We have offered them, but they're not comfortable because the ambulance service is very lacking in Indonesia. But unfortunately, to bring a patient in emergency in a motorcycle is not recommended by the doctors, even though that is better than dying on the side of the street. But in terms of regulation, it is not tolerated. They must use the four-wheeled vehicles. But maybe in the future we will see. Okay, one final question from the back, please. I'm Derta from Jogja. I would like to ask first, Gojek now, is there a benefit? Because when I install and I get 50,000, and then when I use, I do not pay anymore. When I use the referral system, I think people can use Gojek freely. So by just making new email, so how do you address that? Indonesia is best in cheating a company. When we have to do something right, then we're not good. But when finding loopholes, we're good at it. But there are many things like that. But we monitor that, and many customers whom we ban, and many drivers whom we ban. But with the 15,000 price point, the incentive to cheat is not that high. Please, if you want to open an email account 10, 20 every week, I salute. It's no problem. Just to save 15,000. But in reality, that happens. So the referral program will be eliminated. So that opportunity will not be there. Does Gojek profit? Yes, we profit. If we don't, then the investors won't be happy. So that is something in the future. We invest for the future. Now we're developing the market, so we can get such resource and large funding That is because of our rate of growth, which is quite phenomenal. Gojek, I just traveled in Silicon Valley. The officials there saw the figure of Gojek and they were surprised, they were shocked, because even in America it's not that fast. No one company has that fast of a growth. For those of you who want to open the app, and please think in terms of the venture capitalist view. For them, the most important, there is a means to make money, but in the future. But for now, what is most important is the user base growth and transaction growth. That is the most important. From Jogja, right? The one who developed the app? Yes, because Jogja, we have a development center in Jogja. No, they don't want to go to Jakarta, so we developed the office there. Out of 30 people, Jogja, I think is very special as like a breeding ground for developer. The sense of creativity and the IQ of the people there are very good. I'm very impressed. All right, thank you and applause. Before that, I would like to request you to select out of the 17 SDGs. Can you select 1, 2, 3, or you can select all? Please select which one out of the 17 SDGs that will be your concern in the next 15 years, the Indonesian or the English. Previously, I selected 16 because I see Indonesia needs more, peace, because we have many conflicts, religious conflicts, and so on. And then Mr. Luhut chose quality education. What about you? Which one is most important out of the 17 goals? For me, dealing with those related with Gojek, I think number one, no poverty. Number 9, industry innovation infrastructure. And number 11, sustainable cities and communities. So those are the most important for me. All right, thank you, Nadine. Please applause everyone. So that is the final speaker today. Thank you to all the speakers. And before we adjourn, there is a final remarks from Mr. Douglas Broderick, Resident Country Coordinator of the United Nations in Indonesia. Let us applause. Terima kasih banyak. Saya senang sekali berada di sini, Ibu Bapak sekalian. Kami sangat menghargai Pak Luhut yang datang ke sini. Dan terima kasih kepada Maria Reza untuk memberikan presentasinya. Rama Ridaya, CEO dari Terra Luckily. Kami juga berterima kasih kepada Alenda Hazia dari Indonesia Youth Conference. Dan terima kasih kepada semua pemenang dari Global Pulse Big Ideas Competition, Dr. Desma dan para peserta. Saya sangat senang sekali berada di sini hari ini karena kita memulai suatu era baru dari segi kerja kita.
I think that all of you are aware that now we have 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And one thing that I want to make very clear to all of you is that all of us in the room are responsible to move ahead on the SDG roles. All of us and each one of you as individuals have a role, a responsibility to make sure that we communicate, we activate, and we implement the SDGs in our own appropriate way in our work, in our career, in our organizations, and our startups that we are building in Indonesia, especially with the innovation and the incredible creativity that's in this room here that we want to build on and we want to move ahead in the coming weeks, months, and years with the Sustainable Development Goals. And I know that all of you can find your own niche, you can find your own creativity and your own concentration in the 17 goals. For instance, those of you who are interested in the oceans can go to goal number 14. Those of you interested in gender equality, number 5. Those of you involved in education, you can go to goal number 4. So there's plenty of space and room for everybody in this room to make sure that we do this together. One thing that I point out is that all of us should have an action plan. We should all activate it with our own organizations and corporations. How are you going to activate the SDGs in the future? Indonesia has over 72,000 villages. How are we going to communicate these important goals that affect the lives of 255 million people that all of us help in the room here? So we need to make sure that we can communicate down to the community level, to the village level, to the household level on the Sustainable Development Goals, and making sure that the leaders at the lowest possible level, at the appropriate level, understand and can implement, and not only implement, but monitor the SDG goals going down the road in terms of the future. And that's an important thing for us, because I know that I've heard the word that all of us are venture capitalists. It's a new venture, and we have to put our creative human capital of creativity and imagination and hard work together to address the SDGs going down the road. I'd also like to say that, especially in the room, the UN is very proud and very helpful in terms of our work, where we want to work with the youth. And we realize that more than half of the Indonesian population is under the age of 30 years old. So obviously, youth for us is an important priority, an important tenet of our work in Indonesia. That's why we have events like this today, to celebrate and to work with youth. Not only that, but we appreciate your input, your insights, your goals, your understanding, your discussion on ways that the UN can help you and ways that the UN can do better in our work together, especially moving down the road for the SDGs. And obviously, all of us continue to learn and study. We learn every day and make every day a learning experience, and we stay open to very good new ideas in Indonesia. I'd like to thank everybody who has supported our Global Pulse and the New Ideas competition. So I'm very proud to have Global Pulse here, and those award winners from the big ideas. I hope that we can continue to have this sort of competition and this sort of events in the future, because we're focused on using this technology for the betterment of the SDGs for all of us, and especially in your work and your creativity. I'd also like to thank Pak Nadim Gojak, giving us very good ideas and giving us inspirations. As we move into 2015 and 2016, which are very important years for development in Indonesia, and we have to make sure that the work here today has a big impact in the future. So we look for you to give us that input. We look for you as thinkers. We look for you as doers. We look for all of you in the room to be co-partners in the SDG process. At least from today, at least learn one thing. There are 17 sustainable goals. If you take to memorize one each week, then by the end of 4 months, you'll be able to know all the goals by heart and recite them to me as a test the next time we come together. So on that note, I thank everybody, and I appreciate very much your attention and your participation. So let's make the SDGs a sustainable development goal, not only for the world, but for Indonesia, whose 255 million people we serve with better technology and IT innovation. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih, Pak Douglas.
And I think that we're going to have a picture with some of the speakers.
After this, ya.
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih, Pak. Ya, sebelum saya tutup, saya mengucapkan terima kasih. Saya Febrina Firdaus, tim Rappler Indonesia dan UNDP, dan tepuk tangan untuk kita semua. Akan ada video terakhir yang ditayangkan, dan setelah video ini saya minta, kita kan masih live stream ya, saya minta semua peserta untuk maju dan kita berfoto bareng dan aplaus bersama-sama. Silakan videonya dulu.
Hola. Guten Tag.
Ni hao ma.
Bonjour. Salam. Shalom.
The world's countries have united to create
A blueprint for the future.
In September, the UN is unveiling their global goals, a manifesto of today's humans, by today's humans, for today's humans, and for tomorrow's humans too.
So, to ignite world leaders and turn these words into actions, we're making a film.
But we need you.
Whether you know it or not,
The world needs your voice.
let's change things
Create a world where hope
Is something you can reach out.
and touch.
Hope.
Esperanza,
Esperanza.
tikva, natu anya.
Here are 17 other ways to say hope.
The global goals of the United Nations.
We will live in a world where nobody, anywhere, lives in extreme poverty.
We will live in a world where no one goes hungry.
And no one wakes up in the morning asking if there will be food today.
We will live in a world where no child has to die from diseases we know how to cure.
Where proper health care is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world where everyone goes to school, and education gives us the knowledge and skills for fulfilling life.
We will live in a world where all women and all girls have equal opportunities to thrive and be powerful and safe.
We can't succeed if half the world is being held back.
We will live in a world where all people can get clean water and proper toilets at home, at school, and at work.
We will live in a world where there is sustainable energy for everyone.
Heat,
light, and power for the planet.
without destroying the planet.
We will live in a world where economies prosper.
And new wealth leads to decent jobs
for everyone.
We will live in a world where our industries, our infrastructure, and our best innovations are not just used to make money, but to make all our lives better.
We will live in a world where prejudice and extremes of inequality are defeated inside our country and between different countries.
We will live in a world where people live in cities and communities that are safe, progressive, and support all those that live in them.
We will live in a world where we replace what we consume, a planet where we put back what we take out of the earth.
We will live in a world that is decisively rolling back the threat of climate change.
We will live in a world where we restore and protect the life in our oceans and seas.
We will live in a world where we restore and protect life on land, the forests, the animals, the earth itself.
We will live in a world with peace between and inside countries, where all governments are open and answer to us for what they do at home and abroad, and justice rules, with everyone equal before the law.
And we must live in a world where all countries and we, their people, work together in partnerships of all kinds
to make these global goals a reality for everyone, everywhere.
Film yourself delivering the goal that resonates with you.
We'll put it all together with thousands of your faces, voices, and all of our collective hope to create a film and show it to the world, on TV, online, and live.
Your voice matters.
Your voice matters.
Make it known.
Say it loud and let it echo around the globe. The future is in your hands.
The future is in your hands.
The future is in your hands.
Don't drop it.
Ya, tepuk tangan. Silakan untuk maju semuanya untuk mengambil dokumentasi. Silakan semua peserta maju. Setelah itu kita akan lunch bersama.